This right here is one of my favorite movie moments. The rumbling, guttural roar of the Balrog! It's incredible! Wait, on a soundbar? Oh, movie magic exposed. Nakamichi's sales pitch here is absolutely wild. I mean, one does not simply position a soundbar against a multi-channel audio system that costs tens of thousands of dollars, and yet they did. So okay, Nakamichi, if that is your real name, I'll bite. I'm gonna rip my SVS home theater apart, I'm gonna replace it with your soundbar, and I'm gonna see if maybe I could have saved myself thousands of dollars and a heck of a lot of hassle. I'm also gonna see if I can tell you about our sponsor. Ugreen. Their 145 watt power bank is equipped with power delivery and quick charge 3.0 fast charging, along with 65 watt input and a massive 25,000 milliamp hour battery to fulfill your on-the-go needs. Check it out at the link in the video description. I like tinkering, so I went the discreet route for my home theater. I got some SVS Ultra towers and surrounds in ceilings, courtesy of Klipsch, and a pair of SVS subs, all wired through my walls to a Denon AV receiver. These components together cost an eye-watering $13,600 US, not including the price of install, which probably sounds completely bonkers to the average consumer who's buying a $200 Bose soundbar, like that one that we covered last year. But if you've spent any time on the home theater subreddit, you'll know that somehow we're still in bang for the buck territory. Which is what makes Nakamichi's claims so unbelievable. I mean, who do they think they are? No, really though. Old school audio nerds are gonna remember Nakamichi's history making high-end cassette and CD players with the Dragon name indicating their top-of-the-line products. But that company failed to transition from analog to digital, and in 1998, they were purchased by a Chinese holding company, Grand Holdings. 4 years later, they filed for bankruptcy. In the 2000s, their shambling corpse was reanimated to sell iPod docks and portable DVD players with only modest success, and more recently, the company has returned to the high-end audio scene to focus on soundbars. Let's see if they should have stayed buried. The first thing you're gonna notice about the Dragon when you get it is that it is huge and really heavy. To get a sense of the scale, here's that best-selling Bose soundbar off of Amazon. And here is the Sonos Arc. It completely dwarfs them both. Now, obviously these comparisons aren't entirely fair because the Dragon justifies its massive size by packing in a whopping 17 distinct drivers, including 4 that reflect off the ceiling to give you a sense of height, and these nifty air motion transformer tweeters that work like an accordion, squeezing in and out to produce mid to high-end frequencies with extra clarity, supposedly. But I think we've gotten ahead of ourselves a little bit. Let's look at the rest of the package. Quad subwoofers, you say? I mean, there are dual 8-inch drivers in each of these 2 subwoofers, but my speakers have multiple drivers in them, and I don't call them 3 speakers. This won't be the last time we see Nakamichi stretching the truth. We'll come back to that, but first, there's the surround speakers, which each feature 4 bore drivers on the sides and an angled upward firing driver that can be rotated toward your listening position to improve overhead audio effects. These bring the total number of drivers to a whopping 31 with a circuit blowing peak power of 3,000 watts. Thankfully, you'll never actually need that much power at once because at even 50% of maximum volume, we are well into uncomfortably loud territory, which means we should be able to get theater-like performance out of this package then, right? Well, what are we waiting for? Let's give it a shot. Good clarity. The mids feel a little empty to me. It's a pretty big sound from a soundbar though.
Yeah. And I think having the nice big surrounds is great. Sometimes you'll get systems where you have these small surrounds and they sound piddly whenever you have surrounding, but these are big enough that you still get a similar sound all the way around you.
Yeah, it's a good volume of sound. Surround is okay.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the HTA 9s. It's not as good as a like dedicated 5.1.
Yeah.
That's beside me, that ain't behind me. The subs sound pretty good.
I will say that the subs are great. I think that the bass is like punchy and it's quite musical, but the issue is that it just doesn't get that low. Let's pull up Baby Driver,
Sure.
and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Like, did you hear that just now on the bass line, that walking downwards? It gets a little boomy at the top because it's trying to compensate for the dip where the crossover lies.
Every criticism I have of it, though, has to be tempered by the fact that, realistically, in my mind, what I'm comparing it to is a system that costs several times as much. If I was comparing to something else, I wouldn't be sitting here going, yes, but the dip, quite.
For me, I remember when I was testing this earlier, I had listened to your home theater first, and then I listened to the Dragon, and then I went, oh. But then I came back 3 days later after the weekend, listened to the Dragon first, and I was like, this is awesome.
Switching over to my quote-unquote spoiled speakers.
You just hear this, like when there is that bass punch, it's just like, poof, like you actually feel it.
Yeah.
Which you don't get from the Nakamichi, which is really disappointing considering they are big subwoofers still.
I mean, at half the volume of the ones that are here, though. And you know what? Yeah, it sounds more natural. It's a better balanced experience. But at what cost?
Yeah. And I was gonna say, in terms of the treble performance,
The Nakamichi is kind of awesome.
yeah, I don't really miss it. Like listening to just the music, I was like, this still sounds really, really good.
Coming back to the bass though, part of the reason that it doesn't punch the way that the SVS subs do is that while Nakamichi advertises performance down to 20 hertz, what we found was actually closer to what, 30 to 45 before it just rolls off completely?
Yeah, it's really disappointing, and I think it's fine to have bass that only goes that low, but be honest.
Be honest about it. If you guys want to experience these two systems side by side, by the way, we're going to have a binaural recording that we created in collaboration with Blaine from headphones.com, and we're going to have those in unlisted links in the video description. It's pretty darn good in terms of spatial performance, but I've definitely encountered better.
We've spent a lot of time comparing the Nakamichi Dragon to a full-fledged system.
I mean, they invite that comparison.
But let's try doing something that's a competitor of the same form factor, like the Sonos Arc.
Yeah, I like the Arc, so I'll be interested to see how it holds up.
But I just want to take this moment to acknowledge how good the I/O is on the Nakamichi. The Sonos Arc gives you one HDMI.
So you better have eARC.
Nakamichi doesn't have any Wi-Fi, but it does have a bajillion inputs and outputs, and it does still support Bluetooth.
And what's nice is that having no microphone, while it does mean that the calibration is more manual and tedious, means that there's no support for voice assistants, which some people might see as a downer, but some people might actually consider to be a plus.
Yeah. Now let's listen to what the Arc can do.
Sonos is unironically a good little soundbar.
It's a good little soundbar. The Nakamichi Dragon does sound better.
It's worth noting, I don't have a pair of Sonos speakers to throw in the back, but even the sound signature is smaller.
I will say that the Sonos sub is admirable.
It's surprisingly good for its size,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's they knocked it out of the park with that.
And something we've got to consider in all of this is any soundbar is only going to be as good as the limited options that you have available to expand it. Sure, you can add surrounds to your Sonos as long as you're willing to overpay for them and find a way to mount them on your own.
Speaking of flexibility, where are you going to put the Nakamichi Dragon stuff? It doesn't come with mounting hardware. These stands that we got, while nice, are $300.
That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
So like any solution then, it has its advantages and disadvantages, but I think it boils down to this. The Dragon provides, I'd say about 80% of the experience that my AV setup provides at a quarter of the price. That is a massive value. But, and you probably know this if you've ever bought something like a graphics card, the issue is that it's easy to look good when you compare against something much more expensive, because the farther up the product stack you go, the worse value you tend to get. So if we were to compare the Dragon then against something that costs a little less than half the price, like a Samsung Q990C that has many of the same features but is more modest in size and has just a single subwoofer, well, you could make a pretty similar argument there that you're getting a lot of the performance of the Nakamichi. And regardless of your budget, there are strong arguments to be made still for going the DIY route. Personally, and I'm sure I'm gonna ruffle some feathers here, I don't find that the height channels really add that much for me. So for $2,000 or even $4,000, I might go with a mean 5.1 surround setup and an AV receiver that is gonna give me better quality sound right out of the gate, and that I can sell and buy and upgrade over time to turn it into something truly exceptional. Like this segue to our sponsor. Origin PC. Summer is in full swing and it's getting darn hot. So why not stay inside and take advantage of Origin PC's July promotion? They have great discounts going on, like $250 off all custom PCs or 5% off all ready-to-ship desktops. And if you have to leave your house, hey, they're taking 20% off of laptops as well. The best part, you can get a free Envision black wired controller with select purchases, a free 2-year warranty upgrade, and free US ground shipping. So stop touching grass and stay indoors with the help of Origin PC. Check out their July promotion at the link in the video description. If you guys enjoyed this video, hey, I did too. I love checking out stuff like this. Bold, bombastic claims are so much fun to investigate, whether they fall well short or fall even just a little bit short like today. If you guys enjoyed this video, maybe go check out the ones about my home theater setup. We've apparently got a playlist of them.